I'm gonna sit here and pray to God that OBS doesn't drop frames and just outright explode my computer or anything. Fingers crossed. I'm already seeing frames dropping. Already seeing it.
So the Mike Tyson thing was on Netflix?
Oh, was it? Is it already over?
I think.
Because if it's already over, I'm curious about who won, but I'm also like terrified to know who won.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've had a little hiccup in the beginning, just some lost frames, but nothing too bad. I'm gonna go ahead and share the podcast over to the FC chat. That's there. I gotta do my share it to social media plugs real quick. Hold on. Because I have to share it, man. I don't know. I might very well be insane. Who knows? I haven't fully decided. You know, there's nothing saying I'm not, but there's nothing saying that I am either. Share that.
It's all fun.
It's all fun and games until insanity. You know, that's how it works. That's how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I also need to pull up questions. Hey, King. Good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome. Welcome.
King.
King, are you able to hear Makana perfectly fine? I want to make sure of this so that way we're not having any audio issues.
You hear me, King?
Hi, Prim. Can you hear Makana perfectly fine, Prim? Because I know you'll be able to.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me,
Okay.
Prim?
King says he can absolutely hear you perfect 100%. Amazing. Good. Yes. This is okay. So normally I stream this through the PS5 itself. I'm actually streaming this through OBS, which you can actually kind of see by the layout that it is. So we're gonna. This is gonna be kind of a test run to see if how well if I'm gonna switch PS5 stuff over to OBS or if I'm gonna keep going through the PS5. So far, OBS is looking like the better answer right now. It just, I guess, it kind of depends on the game because internet-based games, 50-50. All right. First, let's get the shameless plugs out of the way. Actually, let's get the intro out of the way before I do my shameless plugs. How about that? Hello everyone, and welcome to the sounds a tad low. Okay, hold on. I could fix it. That's the wrong mouse. I could fix it.
I love sounding great.
How do I sound now, Prim? I want to make sure of that before I go through the intro. It might also be because I might be talking a little bit lower than normal, just because my wife is asleep. But let me.
I hear you pretty fine. But I have headphones on.
Right. It's mainly it might be just the stream. How about now, Prim? I turned it up just a little bit more. I'm hoping it's better. Okay, that's probably why we're good though. I don't have any headphones on. Okay, that might be it. That might be it. Okay. All right. I'm actually gonna turn myself back down just a little bit then, because I know my voice gets loud sometimes. Put myself back down to -4. All right. Hello everyone, and welcome to the second episode of season 2 of the Enkindled podcast. I am your host, Sovereign Eric. By this point, if you don't know me, I have an entire episode at the end of season 1. You can go back and learn about me. I'm kidding. Please watch it. It does help. Shameless plugs. Here we are. Joining me today is, how do you pronounce your? I'll say your first name, but I don't actually remember like don't know how to fully pronounce your last name. So joining me today is Makana.
Makana Resnovae.
Resnovae. Oh, fancy. I like it.
It means the new,
Really?
and so yeah, so when I first started playing with the character named Makana when I was playing Final Fantasy 11,
Ah.
and so when I moved to Final Fantasy 14, I was like, well, it's the new Makana. I also I kind of stole the name from not the last name. If you ever played the series Xenosaga,
I have not myself.
um, there is I'll call it like a mech called Omega Resnovae, and I
Ah.
was like, oh, that sounds cool. And the new Omega, all right.
Cool.
So that's where the name came from.
Nice. Just letting you know we're also about ready to start. Uh, I'll make it quick because we have 20 seconds. We're going to not talk about anything related to the podcast during ad breaks, so that way people can make sure that we're staying on topic with everything and make sure everybody hears everything. So there'll be an ad break coming up here in about 5 seconds. So we will see you once the ad break is done. It should only be like in a minute or two. See you then. I don't know actually how long the ad breaks go for, so. Aw, thank you, Premi. You didn't have to do the 100 biddies. Ah.
Sweet.
That's actually my first donation of bits, too. Ah, I'm happy. I need to get, like, the animated, like, bit jar on the screen. Yeah, I'm really glad that we can actually, get this going today. Like, this is good. This is good. And, again, like we talked about earlier today, like, working around with your schedule is my priority. So it makes it better. I need to put a thing in chat to say, in stream chat real quick. Aw, King, you didn't have to, buddy. King just gave me biddies too. Thank you guys.
An ad break.
Okay, I see it right here. Ad break ends. Ad break ends in a minute and 5
A minute
seconds.
20.
Okay, on my end it says a minute 5. Okay. Oh, you're watching it on your end too. Perfect. That actually does help. Yeah, it told me ad break starts in like a minute, and then it's like a whole minute later, then it's the ad break. What the hell? I can't bite the hand that feeds because Rise, I was gonna say no ad time for a Tyson ad. Hodon, thanks for showing up, buddy. Wait, hold on. Why are you here? He can't hear this right now either, and that upsets me because I was gonna chew his ass. Well, Hodon and I work together, and I told him if he can't make it tonight, don't worry about it because he has to work tomorrow.
He plays the game?
Yeah, I got him into the game, and he is now further than me.
Oh, awesome.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah, that's
he's
how it
further
is.
gone than I am. Alright. Ad break ended. Your community is back. Are they done on your end?
It's 3, 2, 1.
Done.
Back.
Okay, cool. Welcome back. Yeah, we're gonna take breaks between to let the ads play out so that way nobody's missing anything. Also, Hodon, before we get into this, I thought you weren't gonna show up, buddy. Because I vaguely remember saying, like, if you can't show up, don't worry about it because you have to work. But I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here. All right. Well, let's get this ball a rolling. So, joining me today again is Makana Resnovae. I believe I said that right.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. I got like 90 minutes. I'm literally in front of the Mac, not the PS5. Fair. Um, you're relatively new to the podcast. I sent you the playlists to the to season 1 and obviously to season 2 that has Prim's podcast in it. So,
Mhm.
uh,
Yeah, I watched many of them so far.
ah,
So
learning
thank
about
you so much for the invite, Prim.
this is Prim's idea. Don't you see this? So we've made it past your character's name as Makana Resnovae. What job do you main? I'm seeing Dragoon on the screen right now, but is that your main job?
No, my main job is Red Mage. The reason I picked Dragoon today was because there was a lot of hatred about Dragoon in the last podcast. So I decided I'm going to go Dragoon. When I first started the game, I wanted to be a Dragoon. And so that was when you had to, like, you couldn't just go straight to Dragoon. You had to, like, kind of level up like a sub job almost. Like, I had to level up Warrior and Lancer so that I could become a Dragoon. So I actually started as Warrior just to get high enough so that you can then go to Lancer, then become a Dragoon.
Huh.
I was a Dragoon for the first expansion.
I actually didn't know that that was a thing that you had to do at one point.
Yeah, yeah. I think it probably went away after Heaven's Ward.
Ah. Yeah, when I started, I think I mentioned this back in my podcast. If you happen to get to mine, if not, it's fine. I think I mentioned I came in probably I want to say tail end roughly ish of Stormblood, if not about close to
Well,
the
yeah.
ending run of Stormblood is when I started the game.
That's when I kind of switched to Red Mage.
Honestly, though, I do have to say this. I give you kudos, much like I gave Ray. I give you kudos because I could never figure Red Mage out.
It seems like such an easy job. It's too easy. So I'm like, oh, this is. And everybody's probably like, he says it's easy because he's so bad at it. But yeah.
That's funny. Um, oh, I'm starting to drop frames. Shit. Oh man.
Uh-oh.
Oh. I'm praying that my
We're
internet.
back.
I'm praying that my internet isn't going to just kill out on me.
Are you-
Is everything still fine on your end, or
it says like the video is buffering. Use low latency toggle.
yeah, it's my internet is a little screwy. We don't have the best internet out here. Hey, already party.
Is
Welcome.
is it necessarily you? I don't know.
Yeah, it's internet on my end because I'm seeing my signal connection. Okay, it looks like we're dropping. Yeah, I think it's on my end because I'm running obviously a game that runs off of internet. Well, no, the PS5 shouldn't actually be affecting that because it might be because it's running OBS and Discord at the same time. Okay, it looks like I recovered. My internet has dips at times, so it's just kind of 50-50. If in the event that we do end up like there are some issues that kind of come up and across, bear with me. I've been having a little bit of internet issues. I was trying to connect earlier tonight, and actually right before we started this, and it was telling me that there was issues with my server for some reason.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't sweat it.
So we've dropped some frames, but I managed to get it figured out. So wow, Red Mage. I gotta give you credit for that because I couldn't personally figure out Red Mage. I thought it was a little complicated, but I'm also just simple. I'm a simple-minded man. I would just want to hit things with big numbers, which is why I love Samurai so much.
Yeah, I like Samurai too. I level up all the jobs.
Which
So
I gave Ray a lot of credit too because I could trying to do healer. I don't want that responsibility. I'll tank, but I don't want the responsibility of healer.
I understand where you're coming from. That's like stress for me.
Uh-huh.
In Final Fantasy 11, that's what I was. I was a healer, and I was basically because I think you played Final Fantasy 11 too, where
I did
you
not a lot
couldn't.
of it though. I
When I
didn't play a
played,
lot.
it was like very difficult to get a party. And so I'm like, okay, I don't want any difficulties getting parties anymore. I started off as a dragoon. I actually can't start with a dragoon. Final Fantasy 11, you have to earn that job. You have to get to like level 30 or something,
Okay.
and then you can get dragoon. But you could be a white mage right out of the gate, and so I'm like, okay, if I want parties, I'm going to be a white mage. And so I was a white mage, all the way to 75 originally,
Right.
and it was a lot of stress. And
Um,
when I came to this game, I'm like, I don't need that. I don't need the stress.
I don't.
But I do it just to get the number that says 100, or level 100.
I don't remember what class I started out as in 11. I didn't play 11 a lot. Um, it was actually one of my coworkers and the man that brought me into the FC, Zavona, that got me uh, into 11 and then into 14. I can't remember what I started out as, but I beelined it to a city. I beelined it as fast as I could, trying to avoid everything with no mount, so that way I could go to one of the towns to get Paladin.
I know that. I know that feeling. I remember trying to get through. I started in Sandaria, and then was just like carefully stealthing through like Snake to get to Juno, so that you could get. Because I think you'd pick up Aladdin in Juno.
I think so.
Anybody correct me there? I don't
I know Prem would.
remember exactly.
I know Prem would remember, but because, uh, yeah, I know Prem would remember because I think we talked about it a little bit back during her stream. Uh, yeah, I would definitely say that. Um, it was. I don't remember what I started out as. I think I was like a warrior type, like a fighter type class, and then went to.
Hmm.
I beelined it because I was like, oh, I can become a paladin, which during the time I was obsessed with being a paladin in games like D&D and everything, and I beelined it for it. I actually started out as paladin in this. In 14, I started out as paladin, and then I eventually went on to become. I took up samurai, and then I went on to take up gunbreaker because it looked cool, and then I just loved how it felt.
Hmm.
So,
Awesome. Yeah, it's a
um,
fun job.
if you're comfortable telling, don't have to if you don't want to. It is all right. Again, we discussed this prior. Uh, what is it you do in real life, Makana?
I'm a software architect.
Really?
Yeah, I've been doing this job. I've been a software architect probably for the last 2 years, but was a software engineer for the last 20. So I've been doing this role. That kind of tells you how old I am. I'm not young. Yeah, but yeah, I specialize in API design and databases.
Huh.
If anything, if that makes any sense to anyone on the stream, I don't know. But yeah, it's good times if you know software and AWS. That's my jam.
Further proof that we all come from different walks of life when it comes to our jobs. You know? Like
Yeah,
it's.
yeah. I remember Prim talking about us doing the escape. It wasn't. She said it was an escape room.
Yeah,
I
it was
guess
like
it
a.
was. It was. I
It was
guess
like a Final Fantasy
classified as an
14, like.
escape room.
Yeah.
It was really interesting because it wasn't like the classic escape room where you get locked in a room. You're in like a big conference room with like a table,
Right.
and then it was like, oh, you would transgress. You would move from room to room, and this room would be like she mentioned, um like Ifrit's cavern, and then there would be some like a Leviathan's like alcove or whatever, and yeah, we were all engineers. A lot of those people worked at the same. We all worked at the same company. That's how we got all together.
Huh.
And then many of us are in the FC. Though I don't see a lot of those faces in the FC too often anymore. And it was like the four engineers in Prim,
Yeah,
and
I
yeah,
remember her
like just like
introducing.
she stated, yeah, she we were all kind of like stuck at the final clue, and everybody's like, "This makes the most sense. I don't get it. We kept. And what was stupid is like, any of you ever heard like the definition of chaos is when you try to do the same thing over and over again without a difference.
Yeah,
That's like
you try the same thing
insanity.
over and over
That's what
again,
we kept.
hoping for a different result.
Exactly. We would go up to like the NPC and say, maybe she got it wrong. Maybe the NPC didn't understand what we were trying to suggest we would do. And it was like, no, that's not what you're supposed to do. And then Prim just kind of like, why don't we go to that spot we never went to or something? And it's like, okay, fine. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
As Prim said, someone had to
Yeah,
push
how
the
many
sanity
how
button.
many engineers does it take to screw in a light bulb?
Four
None of
engineers.
them. It just takes Prim.
It takes four engineers to study the light bulb. It takes Prim to do it.
Yeah,
That's what it is. That's actually interesting though. Software engineer. That's
exactly.
actually really cool. So I know if I have
Thanks.
I know if I have software related questions, I'm coming to you first. So
Yeah, no problem. I probably know the answer.
a good name for your music rock band. Four engineers and Prim. That would be a good rock band name. There you go. Uh,
I could see you starting a brewery from that.
no, that wouldn't be a bad idea. It wouldn't be a bad idea. FC Brewery. Oh man, that'd be. Ooh, I'm getting ideas. I need to not get ahead of myself here. Try not to give myself 30,000 different jobs. Ah, they kind of don't want one I. They kind of didn't want one I said. Okay. I am actually curious because you mentioned that you played 11 and a lot of the people that you met, that a lot of people that you were with, you don't see in the FC anymore. How exactly did you join Kind?
Yeah, I joined when I first joined. I started Final Fantasy 14 at the very very beginning of Heaven's Ward because a character named Ija, who's in this FC, um, invited me to the game. And what's funny is that they didn't actually like introduce me to their FC when I joined. And I was just playing for a while, and some random group picked me up. And sooner or later, everybody was gone, and I was the only member. I was like the head of that group of one. And so, I asked Keisha, I'm in a team of one. Can I join your team? And yeah, they invited me to at the time it was called Dark.
Yeah, I
And
remember
so
Prim and I believe
I,
Rick
I
mentioned
I
playing
joined
with you.
Dark. Yeah. And sometimes I see Keisha. Sometimes they log on, and yeah, it's fun. Yeah, really close friend of mine since kindergarten.
That's really cool. That's I really want to know more about like what Dark was like too, like back then. I know Prim mentioned it a lot, but there's so many people now like knowing that there were so many different people that were in Dark before it ended up becoming Kind. Just it's fascinating. It's we are creating our own lore here.
Yeah, Dark was very. I think the best word to say was just very simple. It wasn't. It was mostly like a chat community, to be honest. Like people that were playing the game together, more or less. And you know, I would say a lot of times it was just you would enter the game and you just say, "Hey, anybody up for this roulette? Anybody interested in doing a trial?" And we'd kind of just go from there. Uh, and Yeah, what I love about Kind today still is that it's, at least for me. it's not like a whole lot different. It's like I remember in Final Fantasy 11 when I was very involved in my Link shell in Final Fantasy 11, and then uh, I remember like one Saturday or Sunday I was at church. I came back late from church after a breakfast with my parents, and it was like, oh, you missed the like sky run, you're out. I'm like, I didn't even know that was like really mandatory, and they just like booted me from the Link shell,
What the hell?
broke my Link shell. Yeah, my pearl. They just broke my pearl. So yeah, I wasn't looking for that kind of like commitment when I joined Dark, and I love that kind is they kind of cater to what people want to do, and it's not judgment if you don't want to do something. It's
Right.
yeah, as you probably have noticed, I'm not on the game all that much anymore as I used to be. But I still read every chat message. I get on now that there's the new Beast Tribe, for example. I'm going to be on every day, but maybe not for many hours every day. And the I just I love kind of just keeping track of what people are doing. I love that we have now the Discord that it has brought a lot of community to the group, and I just love the positive attitude and that everybody just being very accepting of each other, not pressing anything. And I think when Moors and Prim and Ray we would and Cammy would talk, it was just like we don't want to lose that like spirit when we transition from dark to kind. We
Right.
want to, of course, expand it, but we don't want people to feel pressure to do something they don't want to do. They want people to feel very included. It's a very inclusive FC, so that's what I've appreciated so much. And I think that like I give Prim so much credit for just being so open. I mean, she does so much for this FC, and she sometimes gives me too much credit for what I feel like I don't do very much. And so I I appreciate that I just really everybody just should be appreciating Prim and more for everything they're doing. Cammy, of course, and Ray. I mean, Cammy just does this amazing setup in the house, and you're just blown away. If you come to my house, and I'm not necessarily suggesting you do that, it's just it's every single like item that you can get from a holiday event thrown into a corner kind of thing. It's like if you were to walk into your house and you're like, oh, I got another thing, and you just like threw it into the corner. You didn't even care what direction it was facing. And yeah, I just don't want it in my inventory anymore. That's my house.
I get that. That's yeah. Shout out again to Prim because Prim is the glue that holds everybody together. She's the one that holds the FC together with Ray and Moore and Cammy. And also another shout out to Cammy for giving us this lovely, lovely setup. It is fantastic. Uh, the original setup, I loved the original setup, but I love this one more because it feels more open. It feels more. What's the word I'm looking for here? It feels personal, you know?
I mean, this is like Amy has like a vision and she just makes it happen. Like I see this and I'm just like, holy smokes! Like I can't even I don't even know half these things are elements in the video game. It's just like all of a sudden I see it here and she just made it happen. I'm blown away by it. And
I think I mentioned this during it was either Ray's stream or it was Prim's stream. Um, that I always thought it was Prim that did the work around the house. I never actually knew it was Cammy until it was pointed out to me.
yeah, I think I asked one day for like Prim or more to like fix my house and like, oh, that's all Cammy. And then I'm like, oh, okay. I won't put Cammy to the test because it would be a test of patience. It would probably drain my wallet to fix my house.
Wallet drained.
I understand. Has anybody tried the new like? Apparently, you can make the size of your house or something different. Like after the last seven, after 7.1 or something like that, you can now make the inside of the house different than you? I don't know. Have you tried that?
I have.
Do you have your own house?
I do not. I've thought
Which-
about it for a minute, but I was like, I'm not. And much like you had said, how you're not on the game all that much. I'm not either, mainly because, again, like I mentioned earlier today to you, my schedule is so out of whack. And if Hudon is still here in the chat, I'm sure he's lurking and listening. He can agree. Our schedule is just out there. Like, it is insane. Because we work 10 and a half, 11-hour days, and it's just,
Crazy.
it is. But yeah. We're gonna get to now one of my favorite segments. I want to know. We're gonna go through this. We're gonna start with we're gonna go down the list. We're gonna go favorite, least favorite. If you don't have an answer for it, it's fine. No big deal. It is what it is, because there's a lot of options to pick. Especially when it comes to this question, there's a lot of options to pick. Your favorite dungeon. Now, again, like I mentioned earlier, we're trying to leave Dawn Trail stuff out for the time being because a lot of us, myself especially, have not done Dawn Trail.
Mhm.
If you're one of your favorite dungeons or any of the ones are in here, of these myriad of questions that I will ask are related to Dawn Trail, just mention that it's in Dawn Trail, and that's all you gotta say.
All right.
So favorite dungeon.
So I really enjoy the dungeons that are like the end of the storyline dungeon for each expansion. So, for example, the end of the storyline for Shadowbringers was Amarat, and the end of the storyline dungeon for Endwalker was the Dead Ends, and
Okay.
I love those because I just love the connection of like you just it's the culmination of what you've been like working up for the story, and then it just feels very personal at that point where you're just like, oh my gosh, I feel like, especially Dead Ends, I felt like you saw all the worlds kind of collapsing and how media was just really like, taking those worlds that were kind of on the verge of falling, tipping over, and just like giving it the shove.
Right.
And so I loved that, like, and it was very similar with Amarat. You actually got to see that city um, on the brink, and likewise, I'm not gonna spoil Dawn Trail, but it's very similar. I really loved that last dungeon as well. So, and that one might be my favorite.
The one in Dawn Trail.
So the one in Dawn Trail, I really like. I really like it. I'm a big music fan, and the music in all three of those dungeons is top notch.
Oh, absolutely. Especially the Dead Ends. To be fair, all of them just have such a. The soundtrack for this game is just. Cool. I love it.
Hmm.
Your least favorite dungeon.
This one, I think like I probably have a series of least favorite dungeons, and most of them are kind of like the hard modes on like the Realm Reborn dungeons.
Okay.
These are the ones that were released during the Realm Reborn time frame, and I didn't get to experience them when they were first released because I joined the beginning of Heaven's Ward. But if you wanted to like get the roulette, you had to have done it. So I went and did it, and I was just like, oh, these are horrible. I really hated like most of those. I remember in one particular, I remember in a different podcast you talked about what your favorite dungeon was. Somebody's favorite dungeon was the like the Barrowlock. I don't remember the name of it.
Trying to remember.
Uh, it, Braylock's Long Stop.
Oh yeah, I think that
Well,
was. I feel like that was Thunder.
yeah, I mean that's a fine dungeon. I did that a lot with my my before they had the whole um they call it the group of NPCs that follow you around. Before they had
The trust.
the new rendition, the trust. Before they had trust, they had like you had a company party, and I would just cycle through that with the company party, just leveling up like all my tank jobs.
Okay.
And so I like the Bray I like Bray Fox long stop. Bray Fox long stop hard. I did not know what the hell I was doing the first time I walked into that. I was a dragoon. I was a dragoon that didn't know what the hell they were doing on that one. Apparently, there was a what you were supposed to do, and no one, everybody apparently already knew what they were supposed to do. And so the first thing this tank does is he grabs everything in the zone and he just runs to the first boss. And I'm like, what is happening? I'm like trying to kill the things, and I'm like, there's no way I'm going to kill everything fast enough. And then we kill the first. I guess all the mobs despawn after you kill the first boss. I'm like, oh, all right. I don't under. That's interesting. Okay, we move on to the next.
Right.
By the time we get to the end, and it's apparently this is like like everybody knows how to do this quickly kind of thing. Where
Just letting
and
you know,
then
ad
you
break
have to
starts here in a
wait.
couple seconds. Just letting you know, ad break starts here in a couple seconds.
Okay, real quick.
All right.
Like you get to the end boss and you have to hit the limit break the wrong time. A lot of people were banned from my list after that.
Yeah, ads haven't started on my end, so maybe they just want
They
to.
haven't started on my end, but yeah, like apparently I was supposed to limit break because I was a dragoon at a certain spot, or that we would just fail the fight because nobody was doing the mechanics, and I didn't know that obviously. Yeah, the bombs, all the bombs, and then they just like cursed me out for the next. And I was like, I have never done this. You guys saw this is the new. It's not like this was news. Everybody got like the extra bonus because I'd done it. I joined. It said that the first time for somebody.
Right.
And of course, yeah. After that, I was like, everybody on that list, I put my ban list. I had nobody on the ban list before, on my block list or whatever it's called.
Oh, that's amazing. All right, now
Well, there's
now the ad break starts.
if ever I become a GM, there's going to be a ban on a series of people on my block list.
The ad break started on my end.
Same. What was your least favorite dungeon?
Mine? Oh god, I don't remember what mine was. I'm trying to remember what mine was. Well, what was my least favorite? I think it was probably Orem Vale.
I mean, that's a classic nobody likes. Yeah, especially.
The best way I
I
always
remember
call
that.
it is Healer Hell.
Oh yeah, well, that's another one where I walked in the first time and apparently everybody else knew what they were supposed to be doing, and everybody else is like going around the edge, and I'm just like, what? Did you want me to pull everything? What are we doing? And I'm dead. I understand now.
I
But
understand.
yeah, that one is difficult for healers. I hate it when I'm in a roulette and I'm a healer and then it comes through that and I'm just like, why aren't you eating the freaking thing? Eat the fruit. Eat the fruit now, please. Just eat the fruit. Oh, it hurts. It hurts so bad. Watching you die over and over again. Kind of funny. It looks like we're back.
Awesome.
I guess for me, the dungeons in that, like the hard mode dungeons of the Realm Reborn things, I just don't understand. Like I'm going to like Hakone Manor hard, and I've completely lost the whole time. Today, I still lost. We're just moving from one place to the next. Okay.
I tried putting a Were they talking about Orumvale? You bet your ass I was talking about Orumvale, Prim. Uh, so I'll take a moment to explain this. So when the ad breaks happen, we are still talking. Basically, during the ad break, we're just talking to each other about just other stuff. We don't continue the podcast or any like the questions on the podcast until the ads are done, so that way nobody's missing out on anything. The podcast itself, however, will be uploaded 2 days after it, or in 2 days. This will be up in the playlist on YouTube under my channel, Thunderstar5758, where what we're talking about during the ad breaks, where it was like, oh, okay, we're in the middle of an ad break now, you'll be able to hear what we were talking about then. So, clearing that up. So, when an ad break happens,
So
know that
much
we
stuff
are still
about
talking.
Thunder.
What's that?
So much stuff about Thunder. It was crazy.
I know.
He's gonna be upset.
I know. He's not here, though. And I'm mad about it. I get it, but I'm mad about it. But yeah, we are still talking. We're talking to each other during the ad breaks, but we are not continuing any form of podcast questions or anything that are during the ad breaks because we don't want people to miss out. I'm taking that in consideration. I want to make sure everybody hears things live, at least those that show up live. If you happen to see the video afterward, well, then it doesn't matter. All right, so that was your least favorite dungeon. Favorite trial.
Okay, I honestly don't like trials at all. Like they're just one of those things I have to do to move on with the story. So I think my most favorite trial is the Bowl of Embers because it's the fastest thing I can get through before I could just
So
move on.
just
If I
burn
get
that man.
if I get it if I get it, I'm like, yes. But it's usually on the dungeon roulette, right? So
Yeah.
I guess for some reason it's not on the trial roulette. The naval is on the trial roulette. So if I get that one, that's pretty awesome because I can just move on with my day. Um, but in terms of mechanics, I they're all pretty interesting, but yeah, I'm not a big trial fan.
I get that. Because, I mean, I'm not a huge Alliance raid person myself, but I know I have to do it if I want tomestones.
Yeah,
If I want tomestones, I want
I
them.
mean, I appreciate like the series. Like I did like the series where they I think it ended with the cloud deck. I like that trial. I guess. I mean, relatively in terms of enjoying trials, I like the cloud deck. I like the seed of sacrifice, the that kind of stuff. The whole thing where you had the mech in the water and that whole like series that was kind of
Oh,
fun.
yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's the weapons arc, I believe.
Yes, yeah, the weapons thing. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Prim's like, "Do you want to do trials?" I'm like, "You got it," but I'm like inside, I'm like,
You're like, no, please don't make me.
it hurts so bad.
It hurts. Uh, I already know the least favorite trial is probably any of them. Honestly, I could assume.
You name it.
You name it, I don't like it. We'll move on past that. Favorite Alliance raid. Now I'm curious to know this
Um,
because everybody's answer is so different.
so Prim and Morris probably know the answer pretty well. What my favorite Reliance raid is because it's the one that always showed up when we would do Reliance Roulette, and it's the Circus Tower was my favorite.
Oh, okay.
Um, and to this day it still is. But I mean, really anything in that line of the labyrinth or
The Crystal
the
Chamber arc.
yeah, that whole arc I enjoy, and I probably enjoy it because I can get through it in like 10 minutes and then I can move on with my day.
No, just that. Well, that's done. Alright, moving
There's a theme, there's a theme in which I just need to move on with my day.
Look, I got other
I
shit
don't have a lot
going
of
on.
time.
Uh, now this is where my ultimate curiosity stands because a lot of people feel the same way. Everybody feels differently. Your least favorite Alliance raid. Now, it could be a part in it or the entire thing, like the entire raid itself.
I
I'm
think my,
curious.
and I think honestly my least favorite. Um, it's it might be Unscathed. I think it's my abs. I don't mind that like that arc, the whole like um. I mean that was the Heavenward arc,
Yeah,
but I don't like Dunscape, and I don't like Dunscape specifically because there's this section at the very end. I'm going to assume that everybody's done it, and
I know there's
so
somebody that
we're
hasn't. I
we're
think Hudon hasn't done any of the Alliance Raid stuff, barring the Crystal Tower, since it's now integral to the story. But
gotcha.
yeah, but you can go ahead and talk about it because eventually we'll get him.
Well, spoiler alert! Like you fight like Diablos, and then he like combines with the witch, and it's like another section of the whole battle. I'm like, I don't want to do another section. That is so long. Just move, just I'm so done with this. I mean, so I don't like Dunscape. I like Dunscape up to that part. I like the music in Dunscape. I can put down a repeat, but I can't that part where the Diablo combines with the witch. I can't. I have a really hard time. I just it's not like it's a really bad hard like fight. It's just so long. I just too long. And then I think in general, if I ever see like one of the ones from the Everlease. And I'm a big Final Fantasy Tactics fan, and I was very excited when they were going to release these alliances. But they're also very long. You're seeing the pattern. I don't like it when it gets too long. But I'm a big Nier fan. I'm a big Nier fan, so I can put up. I'm like, okay, I at least get to enjoy the Nier music throughout this one. I get to enjoy the Final Fantasy Tactics music. That's
Right.
good. That's a plus. The Nier music is top notch. I can put up with that, so that's what I put up with those alliance raids. I really enjoyed like the last series in Endwalker though. Um, I'm a big Halone fan.
Okay.
I don't know why, but my character. I mean, I picked that one when I made my character, and I've stuck to it. And I couldn't wait to fight her. So
Right.
and I just enjoyed every one. I like the mechanics in those. I understand what Prim said earlier. She said it wasn't too difficult. Yeah, there's truth to that. It wasn't. Like I don't believe I've ever wiped even in the very beginning. Um, but yeah, it's a good time. I like that. I like that raid. I like the fighting out the. I don't mind it when it comes up in the Reliance for yeah.
Right. And I thought the battle against the 12 was actually, those were really good raids. Um,
Yeah,
because like
yeah.
I'm not a
I
huge
mean,
Alliance raid
even how
person.
they made that last boss battle where they had like mechanics from every single one of the
Mm-hmm.
those gods. I was like, wow. I mean,
Right.
awesome. It was a good time.
And I'm not a huge Alliance raid person myself. I can I can say without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, though, my least favorite Alliance raid has to be the Orborn Monastery. Just because it's just such
Okay.
a slog to get through. Like, and a lot of people say it's the raid around a lighthouse that is their least favorite when it comes to the Evil East raids. Because of one, math boss, and two, uh, the final boss. I personally think
Yeah,
I personally say the monastery because one, Thunderlord Sid, and
I
two,
love that guy.
it's the mechanics. If you don't know the mechanics when you're going in, you're screwed. That and then the last fight because it's like, oh, you have to basically keep your head on a rotating swivel, and then oh, did everybody die because of this? Well, you better hope that you can get people up fast because DPS check, bastards.
So I did that roulette last week. Um, and it landed on the Oban Monastery, and I honestly like that Oban Monastery because it has all the characters in Final Fantasy Tactics. You
Right.
actually fight them. I love that. And then you get to that just we actually like blew past it was like we killed the boss so quickly that we like skip a whole mechanic where she goes to the dark room and you have to like navigate the little mini maze.
Yeah. That's
Like we didn't even do the mini maze. I was like, what?
I'm like, wait, what?
We could not do the mini maze? It's amazing. What's gonna be funny is when they make it like required because some part of the new story. And I haven't done it, so I can't assume. I'm not getting any spoilers. I'm just speculating. When some part of the story in the future suggests that you have to then go through the Evilise thing because such and such like bad guy is still on the loose.
Huh.
And yeah, that's gonna be a good time. Everybody has to go through that hell.
uh, all right, your favorite normal raid?
Let's see. Okay, so I really liked the normal raids where you had to. I think it was Sigmascape, where they brought in the bad guys from. I think it started with Final Fantasy. I remember. I mean, there's three parts to every one of these raids series, so it
I
was essentially Final Fantasy. I think 4, 5, 6 or something like
five,
that, and
5, 6. First one ended with X Death. Second, Alpha. Alphascape ended with X Death.
okay, so 4, 4, 6, and then maybe
It was X Death, Kefka, and then the
yeah, I
last
think
one
maybe it
ended
was
with Omega.
4, 6. Yeah, I guess so. There wasn't a 5. It was just like
Yeah,
Omega in the last series.
Omega was the last
Yeah, I
series,
like that one.
but then it was
I
I
liked.
think it was Alphascape ended off with Alphascape, the entirety of Alphascape, and if we're talking about like it being in three separate parts, Alphascape ended off with X Death, Deltascape ended off with Kefka, and then Sigmascape ended off with Omega. I think I got
Yeah,
that right. I'm
I
not
mean
sure.
the only thing I didn't like about that series was the like when you're fighting Omega like tank,
Yes.
and you have to. So just a little bit of background about myself as I also did sailing, and so port is left and starboard is right, and what it's like larboard and start, and it's like what's that side, and I get screwed on. I feel like I get blasted every time, and so I still have to like puzzle it in my head real quick, and then by the time I puzzled I'm already like I've already got the debuff, and then I'm probably going to get the next one too. So because he like spun around and did starboard. So that, but I never took advantage. I never got the. Did anybody even like try to do like the ultimate on that one? That one seemed like pretty awesome. I watched a whole video of somebody like conquering the ultimate on that. That was crazy. That was awesome.
It sounds terrifying. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Where you can bring back like Halsafon, bring him back to life like he didn't die. That was
Yeah.
amazing. I can't believe they introduced that into the game.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
It's crazy. Least favorite normal raid.
Hmm. I was like trying to remember what the raid theories are. I have a list. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
So I like Alexander. The Deltascapes and yeah. Oh, I know. I really did like Edenverse too. That was good. I like the Final Fantasy 8 theme. And I don't really if I like him. I like the normal raids so much that it's hard for me to. And you're like, I thought you hate trials, so how could you like the raids? But I like the raids because I feel like they have really good mechanics that keep me interested and coming back every time.
Right.
So if I have to like choose one that I'm like, I could give it a take it, it's probably like the coils of Bahamut,
Yeah, because
the binding coils of Bahamut.
the game just kind of hands you them and says, "All right, here, have fun with that," but they never make anything about like they're like, "Hey, you should probably go do this." It's like, all right, whatever.
And what's so interesting, if anybody is on the stream that hasn't like actually finished those, you kind of have to,
Because it does
because when
explain some
you
story stuff.
yeah it And then when you finish them, there's actually like another like cutscene ending. And you're like, what? There was an actual. I'm not talking about like the regular scene in the video game. It was like a movie, a CG
Uh-huh.
movie. Oh, I'm like, how do they put this behind a raid series that people may not do?
It's
And
actually really funny
anyways,
because I don't remember. I don't think it was on stream. Maybe it was on stream. Hudon and I actually went through the entirety of the Binding Quells, just him and I. It was unsynced, but we did do it.
You enjoy it?
I've been through it before myself. I think he thought it was all right, but it, like, obviously nothing to write home about. We have talked about maybe trying to see if we can get through the Alexander raids at least, with Sen, Sakura, Hudon, and myself trying to get through the Alexander raids for him, unsynced. But I know that once we get to that last one, fighting Alexander himself is just going to be a nightmare because you need Limit Break 3 for tank.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, every one of those battles I really enjoyed.
As
We
Hudon
didn't
said,
always.
I carried his little 70 samurai ass through the whole thing.
I think maybe the only one I didn't like was the first like, and in terms of Alexander, it was the first four battles before, and I think like after that first four battles, they kind of realized they went too hard.
Right.
It was honestly my because like I stated, I started having swords, so this is my first introduction to doing these type of raid battles. And it was just so toxic. I felt like everybody was just so mean all the time. So, anyways, yeah, yeah. I still remember the mean things they said to me.
They're also me.
Yeah,
And by
I'm
the
just a dragoon. They're like that dragoon keeps dying.
the floor main.
Which one are you talking about?
Which one are you talking about? There's 3 of them. Oh, that's funny.
We're all making sure the floor is straight for you all.
Well, yeah, you have to. uh, very interesting. This is a new segment. This is actually the second time we've done this segment. I think it's gonna be something that we're gonna keep for future podcast episodes. The About You section. Tell us 3 things that you'd love for people to know about you. Whatever that is, it's completely up to you. It can be as personal as you want it to be. Just 3 things that you would love for those that watch this to know about you personally.
So, I'm a big collector of things. Morris knows that pretty well. I think Prim knows that pretty well too. So I have like massive collections of things, and my wife does not appreciate those collections. But I have like a lot of video games: PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, and getting the PS5 is getting ramped up. And I kind of built out my office so that I could store this stuff, but it's kind of obnoxious. Okay, so I started with video games, and then COVID hit, and then I started like everybody's picking up liquor, so I started a big whiskey collection, and then I started a big beer collection. And at one point, I was drinking, and when I drink like beers, they're like the bourbon barrel aged stouts.
Yeah.
So they're kind of heavy, but they got there's a lot of variety. I'm drinking one right now just for the occasion. If Morse is listening ever, Morse, I'm drinking a pistachio vanilla bourbon barrel aged stout, 19% APV, and it's delicious. And I was saving a bottle for whenever Morse that Morse would like.
As you kind of cut in and out there, pal.
Oh, all right.
No, you're good.
Yeah, Morris, I have a bottle of beer for you. And
Okay.
then I also have really massive, I have a large collection of vinyl records.
Ah.
And most of them are video game music. And so, I mean, I'm not saying that it's the largest collection of video game music that anybody might own, but it might be. if you don't own like a record store, this might be the largest collection. It's kind of ridiculous. Some of them are not even many of them. Okay, I would say half of them are opened, but I love listening to music on vinyl, right? And I love listening to music, video game music. So when you add that like Lethal Cocktail, then you get this collection.
Absolutely.
So
It's
yeah,
that I totally get that.
um,
My wife, um, she's asleep right now. I personally, I think I mentioned it in my episode at the very beginning. I didn't really get into a lot of detail. It's less that I collect. I run a store online for TCG Player. I collect and sell various different trading cards, and it is part of my livelihood. Been doing it since 2017, and want to keep doing it. And eventually make it a career. I was trying to find the word there. I've
wow.
also
Like, are you talking like baseball or sports cards,
uh,
or are we talking like Pokemon?
Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic. I do have one set of the Final Fantasy TCG that doesn't really sell. Force of Will. I started Flesh and Blood, but that didn't really take. That doesn't really take off as much as I thought it was going to. Um, yeah. Disney's Lorcana is another one that actually sells really well. Just a lot of it. It started off as just like okay, just I just want to sell some cards, like nothing huge. And then here I am, 7 years later, going, wow, I really made a career out of this, huh?
And so you actually sell them. Do
Yeah.
you? How does it? Do you see like a big margin? Like, do you have really good margins?
So that's that's the fun part, right? So I sell through TCG Player, and now I could put like say I'll put up a card that's 100. Like a card will sell $100 exact. Well, TCG Player, because I'm selling it through a third-party system, has to basically take their own fee because obviously I'm using their website to sell. And then after their fee, which I don't remember what their fee is, I'd have to look. I get the rest of it. And then if I'm selling for a friend, so example, like if say you had a card that you sent me, it sold for $100. Well, then obviously TCG Player would take their fee, and then I would take a fee, like a fee of my own, to basically, like as I sold it for you, it's essentially a sales commission, and then you would get the rest of it. I would make sure that you would get the majority back, because obviously it's just how I've always run it. It's just like, oh, did you want me to sell something for you? Cool, you're gonna get a majority of the money back. I will obviously take just a small portion of it for the store, and then that's just essentially just a sales commission. But
Wow.
my
When
sales are
how do you ship? How do you ship all your?
my shipping. It's in
Go ahead.
they go in like small thin plastic sleeves that go into a hard sleeve, taped, and then obviously address label and everything written out, and then just sent off in the mail. Orders over $25, recommend a tracking number on them, but I don't have to put one. But if I do not put a tracking number on anything over $25, or an order that's at least $25, then I essentially waive my right to basically like try to, if say something happened to it or if it got lost, and the buyer came after me and said, hey, like this isn't showing up or anything on this time. If I didn't put the tracking number on it because the order was $25, I have to basically agree that, okay, what do you want done? I cannot combat that because I didn't put a tracking number on it for my own insurance, essentially.
Yeah.
Orders
Okay.
over $50.
How often do you like?
Go on, sorry.
Keep going.
Uh,
No, no, keep going. I want to hear.
Orders over $50, I cannot send without putting a shipping label on it, or like a tracking number on it, because that's just how they deal with. That's how TCG Player deals with it. It is their own insurance way of being like, okay, here's this. You don't need to work. Basically, like, for example, I actually just pulled a card last night that was $51 market price. I'm trying to sell the thing for $75. Just so that way I can make some more money off it. And we have an ad break that starts in about a minute, so I'll try to get through this quick.
Wow.
So,
you can make a card. One card, $75.
Yep. I can set the price to whatever I want it to be, but I try to keep my prices fair because I don't like I've been ripped off before. But with the fact that this card that I pulled, it's from a specialty set, so it's a set that you can get a lot of stuff, like a lot of rare stuff, easier. But it's the number of, like, I look at a list of all the cards like that are in the set, and I basically organize it by like highest selling card in market price. This was number 4 out of the top 5, and it was selling for $51. So I'm trying to sell it for $75 to make a little bit more than market price, just to try and, get more money out of it. But we do have an ad break that is coming up.
What's the holy?
What's that?
What's the holy grail cards?
I can name 3 of them, and it's one from each one of my biggest 3 sellers. For Pokemon, it is the holographic Charizard from the base set, first edition. Pretty sure that thing goes for a couple thousand. For Yu-Gi-Oh, it is the Blue Eyes White Dragon from the very first set, first edition. Fairly certain that thing goes for a couple thousand as well. For Magic, it is the Alpha Black Lotus from the very first set, the Alpha set. Only, I think, like 150 copies of that card were printed in Alpha set, and that can easily go for 30,000 plus.
Wow. So, like, how would you personally come into possession of any one of those cards? Like, would you have to buy it?
We hit the ad break.
Okay.
So I'll continue that once we're done with the ad break. Take just a moment during the ad break, because I know that nobody else can hear it, but watching the video afterward, you'll be able to. Thank you, everybody, for coming and tuning in to Makana's episode. It means a lot. I've mentioned it a couple times in chat. I'm sure you've seen it. Donating bits are a huge help. So is subbing. I don't have anything to offer as basically a sub to my Twitch page. Not yet, anyway. I'm still kind of working out a lot of things, because the whole affiliate thing just kind of got dropped on me. I wasn't actively trying. But I am glad that everybody's here. If anybody wants to sub, I know they've upped the sub prices, so it's entirely up to anybody if they want to sub or not. Bits are still greatly appreciated. With Prim and with King basically donating 100 bits both, it really does make it makes a difference. All these small donations and everything make a difference. Duolingo is looking at me pissed off right now, and I don't like it. He's mad.
Oh man, my Duolingo. My current streak on Duolingo is 1900 days.
Mine right now is 89, and he is so mad because I haven't done my lesson for the day, and he's pissed.
What are you learning?
Italian.
Awesome.
Are we back? Our ads done? Are we back?
We're back.
Well, we're back. I was actually during that little ad break, I was explaining that I appreciate everybody coming, and that the bits do help. So does subbing. Again, I don't have a lot to offer for subbing. I know the price for a tier 1 sub, I believe, is $7.99. You don't have to do it. I don't have anything to offer. It does remove ads, so that's entirely up to you. You don't have to. The bits are a great help too, because they do add to the revenue, albeit a little, but they add to the revenue in the end. And I appreciate everybody. So, to answer your question as to how I would come into possession of one of these cards, in my lifetime, I probably will not. Because if I get my hands on an Alpha Black Lotus, that thing's getting locked away somewhere safe and never being touched. If I get my hands on a holographic first edition Charizard for the base set, same thing. Blue Eyes, I'd probably sell it. I'm not gonna lie to you. Honestly, I don't think I'm ever gonna get my hands on any of those in my lifetime, but it would be cool. But yeah. What else do you want to tell us about you? Because you mentioned that you have a great and vast amount of collection. We tangent off to me talking about my stuff, and I apologize for it. What else do you want to tell us about you?
No problem. No, I think what y'all probably don't see me on the game very often. That's mainly because of my faith and my family. So, yeah, I've been really. I'm not going to dive too deep into religion or anything like that, but just been very devoted to a lot of reading and a lot of study, and then just been um, I devoting myself to a lot of people in my small groups. So that's where it just unfortunately means that I can't play the video game as much. I'm giving my time to spreading myself a little too thin. But in terms of family, I have two young daughters. Um, they're 8 and 6, and my oldest is autistic. So that's uh, that's a good time. Of obviously, God put that in my life so that I could work on my patience and a lot of other things. So I think I have grown a lot in that regard, though. I know that you haven't had a lot of conversations with me in the past, so um, it's one of those things that I've suffered, a lot along with just not having really good patience with a lot of things. I mean, maybe you've gotten that impression with I can't stand a very long trial or a very long like alliance raid, but yeah, I my patience wears thin pretty quickly sometimes, and so this has definitely been an opportunity for me to kind of just step back, work in love with my daughter who um I mean, she's doing great. Um, and I just love to see the progress that she makes every day. I love to she's really great at math. Um, she's more like me than I realized that uh, you know, a lot of times if you have children, you might recognize that one of them kind of like mirrors you or your wife or your spouse, your partner. And she definitely mirrors me. I'm sure that I'm on the spectrum to some degree, but yeah, I mean, it's really awesome. Like she's the one that plays the video game. She's on the Switch. I have to limit it, of course. But my youngest, she's the exact opposite. Um, and you're like I raised them the same way. I don't know how they could be any different, but she's very much just like my youngest is very much like my wife. And I mean, they if you were to even look at my wife as a young child, looks like my youngest. And so they're one is very girly girl, and one is very like I want to play video games, I want to play vinyl record. Like she come when I put the vinyl record on, my oldest is downstairs dancing. I'm like, yeah, all right, yeah, that's good music to dance to. I get it. So yeah, that's the kind of the three things. I mean, by all means, you want to dive into any of those things, I'm open to book. But
Um, it's less that I want to dive into them. I just want to actually say uh, I'm glad that you're taking this time to actually to let us kind of know more about you. As Prem always said, life stuff first. We're always here, and I believe that because look, we're always we as the FC as our own separate family. We're all gonna be here, but it's the stuff that's in your immediate life that you have to deal with first before anything else. And I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we're able to do this, and I'll probably say it 1,000 times. Now, probably maybe during the rest of it, probably after all this is said and done too. Uh, Thanks for being here, Makana.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Now we're gonna get to the fun segment, chat Q&A. I will open the chat up to basically ask Makana any question. Keep in mind, again, as I will reiterate every time during this, try not to keep it too personal. Try not to make it overly personal or anything that could be uncomfortable. Nothing about religion, nothing about politics. I want to keep those out of my streams just for sanity's purpose, and also because I know some people aren't comfortable talking about those things. Beyond that, I will open the chat up to basically ask questions here for probably about 10 minutes. So once we hit about an hour and a half, unless we hit an ad break within there, I don't know when the next ad break is going to hit. I don't get notified of how often those hit. I just get notified of like when they're about to hit. So chat, go ahead and start asking. We'll open it up for about 10 minutes. So anybody in chat can ask questions. I personally don't have any. I mean, we had a nice conversation before earlier today when we were getting this stuff set up. So
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, to me, you could be as personal as you like. I don't mind answering questions. Answered at probably every question.
I mean, you're a father of two, so I mean, you've probably been asked everything underneath the sun at this point.
Yeah, yeah, kind of. Uh, when you're dad, you learn you have to learn fast, especially with daughters. And so you know which ones are going to give you trouble. Probably, I already have that. I know very clearly where I'm going to have the most pain. But yeah, every life, every stage is special. It's great. And I mean, I don't know how many people out on the stream actually have children or listen to this later have children, but just appreciate every stage. It's never you're never going to return to one of those stages, so just appreciate it now while you're in it. It might feel, oh man, I don't get enough sleep or something, or they're so disobedient, whatever, but they're never going to be that again. So just appreciate it.
uh, Before I'm gonna send you a message over. I'm sending Gary to send you a message over Discord. Don't answer it out loud. Just obviously reply back to it. Before I send that though, Prim asked, "Did you say yes to the podcast because you wanted to, or is it the Trials Roulette, situation again?"
No, I felt like I honestly was flattered. You know, one of the things I understand that I've been really MIA in the FC. So the fact that like I was considered was really flattering. I wanted to do it just because I want to be part of the group. Unfortunately, I just don't have a lot of time to always do part of the group stuff. I remember there was a time in which I could do like the Sunday events, but I started getting the evil eye from my wife when they start like at 6:30 or something like that, or even earlier, and it was just like it's like interrupting bedtime. It was I would get lots of grief. So I just unfortunately couldn't do the Sunday events anymore. So I took this opportunity. I was like, okay, I'm definitely going to take the opportunity to say that I still am devoted to, you know, making sure people are enjoying the game. If I can do anything to help people get through the game without feeling judged or feeling like I'm like it's a slog or something like that. It's a fun game. I consider it my favorite game of all time. So please, like, don't get discouraged if you need anything. I pretty much I try to do it all. I might do not do it all well, but I'll try to help where I can.
Uh, Prim says, we don't want you to get the evil eye from the missus. She also asked, do you like being an officer in the FC?
Yeah, I mean, that also was extremely flattered when that was offered. I mean, that was back kind of near the beginning of Shadowbringers, and it was kind of during that time when we didn't have a lot of folks, but uh, it was just like, hey, participation, people who I felt like where when you first get into the beginning of an expansion, like you're trying to just level up your character, you're trying to get things moving across. If you're like a DPS, it's like you see the queue, it says 30 minutes. You're like, well, I don't know if I have that much time. And so I would ask, people, does anybody want to play with me today? And I just loved that the FC was just so open, like, yeah, let's do it. They may have already done it. They didn't like admit that he did it already. They probably did. And they were just so open to doing it again, if they hadn't done it yet. And so I really appreciated that they even saw something like in me to that they would invite me to be, make be a larger part of the organization. And so I'm wherever I can make an impact, I want to be able to do that. I'm sorry that it's been a little slow recently with me. I still I try to get involved in the conversations. We do have conversations between the officers to make sure everybody's, we're going in the right direction. I'll give my opinion. I obviously weigh heavily on what Moors and Prim want to do, and Cammy too, and Ray. So, and I just appreciate everybody's just having patience with us as we get through. I mean, we have our day-to-day things going on, and so I know that there's sometimes the drama, but what I really appreciate about Mars and Prim that they take so much time into making sure everybody is just so devoted to being themselves and not having to deal with the drama.
Shout out to Moore and Prim. They are the backbone to all of us. uh, did you see the message I had sent you over Discord, by the way? You don't have to, don't answer it out loud. Just, did option 1 go for it, or did option 2, or is it option 2?
I think option one.
Okay, I know we had kind of talked
It
about
feels
it
like
before.
it feels like option one.
Okay.
It feels
Also,
like option one.
I just want to point this out. This is I just sent you a screenshot. This is Duo looking at me right now. He's fucking pissed.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, he's
That
mad.
shoe doesn't look like that. It's kind of just cross-armed looking at me, but it says I still have 3 hours, but
Well, I've only got an
yours
hour.
is like an hour and
I
six
got like
minutes.
less than an hour to do it. It won't take me that long. Yeah. Prim says Maka has always thought about what's best for the FC, and his feedback helps protect what we've tried to keep going. He's very hard on himself. He says sorry for things he doesn't need to say sorry for. It's okay. I'm the same way on that.
Thanks, Prim.
Any last questions? We'll go ahead and got room for one more question if anybody has one. If not, then we will move on to the next spot. I'll give it another couple minutes. We haven't had a full 10 minutes just yet. I'll give it another couple minutes. Got time for one more question. We'll go with one more. If anybody has one, go ahead and ask. I personally don't have any. I mean, I feel I'm learning as we go, and with you being the 7th member or the 7th guest on the podcast, I have to throw myself on there too because I was the end of season 1. It's interesting to see where all of us come from in terms of like different walks of life. Artie Party asks, where is Maka from?
I'm currently in Southern California, outside Irvine, in a city called Aliso Viejo. It's pretty close to where Prim lives. As you probably already I've heard like we've done escape rooms, we've gone to concerts together. So yeah, I'm in Southern California,
Oh,
West Coast.
South California. It's okay. I live in the middle of quite literally, the middle of bumfuck nowhere, Nebraska. So we're okay. I don't live in the worst part of Nebraska. I live in the south, like, eastern corner.
If I were to go to Nebraska, where should I go?
Sorry, that was that was not supposed to come out like that. I'm sure. Hudon will understand too because he gets it. Um, it depends on what you're looking for. There are a lot of areas in Nebraska that you could go to that have so much that you can do. Where we reside is there's a lot. There's so warm there. So we're talking Southern California, probably warm. I would assume so.
I, I mean, today the high was 61.
What
You
was the
take
low?
that as the low, I think was 42. That was 3 a.m.
Hold on. As we say this, I'm checking the weather right now, see what it is here. Currently right now, 49 degrees. Feels like 44. Low today is going to be low. Currently is going to be at least 45. High of 68. That was what it was today.
All right, all right. But like tomorrow for here tomorrow, the high is 62. But that's kind of a cold weekend.
That's cold in California. That's for better.
That's where Better Call Saul went.
Omaha, yeah, because Hodon and I live. I don't want to say we live near-ish to Omaha, which is
Hmm.
we actually are closer. Well, it kind of depends on which way you go. We're close to the capital of Nebraska, which is Lincoln. We go there quite a lot. Not as much as we used to, but we do go there a lot. We haven't had a day where both of us have it off at the same time to be like, all right, we're gonna go just screw around in Lincoln for a day. But thank you to everybody that joined, that participated in the chat Q&A. We're going to close that off. Move on to the next question. We already know that your favorite job is the Red Mage, because that is the job you main as. What is your least?
Mhm.
What job do you hope actually gets a rework? Now I know what a lot of other people have said. I want to see if you agree. What job do you hope gets like a really good rework to actually make it better?
Yeah, like I think astrologian. I really would love to see a rework of that job. When I first got into healing, I really had doubled down on astrologian, and then they kind of decided they wanted to make it like a shield healer, and then it just felt like they weren't sure of the identity of this class, and so they kept on changing the class a little bit by little bit, and so now I don't have a lot of enjoyment playing that class, but I'm obviously going to get to 100, but I'm sure I'm not going to enjoy it. So I I wish they would. I don't know. I wish they would. What I liked about Astrologium to begin with was it just kind of felt like I could be a shield healer or I can be like a reactive healer on a whim. I like that idea. I really enjoyed being able to kind of just like swap on the fly. And they took that away from me. And I think I'm more of a reactive healer by nature, so um I I I don't know. I hope they do something with Astrologian. I did get Dragoon to 100, and I understand where people are coming from when they talk about like I I still like at this point I just like I'm clicking the button that's like flashing on my controller. That's more like the thing I'm doing. Where less so that I feel like I actually have an actual like game plan. So when I first started playing Dragoon and then Heaven's Ward, it felt like I could definitely I knew this is what I gotta do to get the most damage out of it. Now I just feel like I'm just pressing the buttons that are flashing. So I kind of understand where people are going. I feel like they tried to make it a little too viperish. And yeah, but what I really enjoy, I mean, speaking of a job that I appreciate got a rework. And I don't know. I also heard people were saying like the job rework needs still is there still needs work on it. But I also my secondary job is machinist or machinist, however you pronounce it. And I I appreciate what they did to that job going into say it might have been store blood where it used to be where you had to like throw out the turret. And it was just such a pain in the ass to do that. Like every pull, I had to like, pull it back and then throw it out for the next one. It was just such a pain in the ass. And I understand, like, I think some people like that. It's just too much going on the screen. So, I like feeling like I was like Edgar from Final Fantasy VI all of a sudden. I enjoy, how they like gradually add more of the Edgar tools to machinist and I love seeing the big numbers whenever I throw one of those like chainsaws out or something like that.
Right.
So I'm a big machinist fan. I don't necessarily think it needs any more work. So
I know. I think you're the second person that has said Astrologian could do a rework. I believe Sen said the same thing. I'm not 100% sure. Uh, I know a lot of other people have said Dragoon because it has felt clunky. Personally, I think Machinist, in my opinion, needed a rework because at least from where I'm at in Machinist, I'm not too terribly high up in its levels. To me, right now, it feels clunky. Like it feels cluttered. It's just like I don't know the combos and everything. Um, that's just my own personal opinion on that. Your favorite location in the game that you've been to?
it's yeah, yeah, I'm not going to give any spoilers or anything like that either. I think my favorite is Ultimate Duel. Like I've stated before, I'm a big music fan, and so I love that I can hear close in the distance anytime I want. Just going to Ultimate Duel. If there was a second place, it's Elpis. I could spend, just sitting on one of the edges of the islands in Elpis.
Yeah,
So, yeah, and
I
the
agree.
music's great there too.
I agree with both of them. Uh, your least favorite location?
I think like I really don't like the space outside of
Outside of where?
like it's just like a desert wasteland kind of feeling.
Outside of where?
And uh, Thoran, I'm sorry, Danaland.
Oh, okay. Outside Downland. Okay.
Yeah, outside Danaland. I really no, I'm not a big like desert kind of sort. So it just is like this brown area. Yeah, it's like I remember in the early game when you're doing Realm Reborn, you constantly like teleporting back to that location to get to like
All the way
the
back.
Scions
All the
like
way back to Eastern
base.
Sands.
Yeah, yeah. I man, I just it was a drain. I I'm not a big fan of that space. So
I don't blame
yeah.
you. We actually make it a joke because on starting next week on Fridays, we are actually changing our Tuesday schedule. We're kind of reworking my streaming schedule a little bit. Starting Fridays, we're taking our Final Fantasy streams back to Fridays, so we're doing Final Fantasy Fridays again. We stream our alt accounts, so Hudan, Sen, Sakura, and myself. We stream alt. Are doing an alternate playthrough of the game on a different server. I mentioned it during Prim's stream. Um, we actually have a running joke that anytime we have to return back to the Waking Sands, we call it turning around.
Yeah, it's good.
It's it's funny because I don't remember who. I think it was Sen that started that joke, and it was just amazing. Uh,
Well, I mean, back in Evan's Ward, they didn't have like an icon. But right now, they have an icon that says like if you have to progress the storyline and you have to go through like a door to get to the NPC,
yeah,
they'll have an icon on the map that lets you know which door to go in. And I think I like braked for like 24 hours, which I mean, you're like, not very long. I came back to the game and I'm like, oh my god, I don't know how to progress the story. It says it wouldn't show me on the map where to go. It was like you would click the quest list, and it would just show like Thanalan, and you're like, I'm done. I don't know what to
I'm out.
do.
I'm out.
And yeah, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, I was going to this door like the last like 5 missions. I should just try that again.
Yeah, I should try it again.
That's right. That makes sense. That makes sense. And now they make it easy for us, thank God.
Ah, thank God. And now they've actually given the which is something that we discovered. Or at least I discovered because I have not played through ARR in years. They give you now these little like teleporting like envelope things that you can use that take you back to the town where the Waking Sands is at. So you're not having to go all the way to Horizon and then run all
Wow.
the way down. We're dropping frames right now. Oh no.
Wow. That's awesome. I mean, they just bring you back to where you need to be. That's fantastic.
Right? We dropped frames there for a quick second, but I think we're back.
Yeah, I heard it. But so you're going through all of FFO 14 again. Like, have you noticed a remarkable? Are you going all the way back from Realm Reborn?
Yeah, we're starting from the very beginning. So we started streams from basically where all four of us could be at. Ad break. We're in an ad break right now.
I haven't seen it yet.
At least on my end, it says we're in an ad break.
Well,
Uh,
maybe it's starting like on the side. But I was kind of curious about what was really different between your first playthrough and your second.
quite a lot. I want to keep that mentioned while we're in when we come back from the ad break. But I've been noticing quite a
Okay.
lot of differences. Uh, yeah. I leave this up to you. Do we want to do the topic of discussion, or do we want to kind of go into wrapping this up? It's up to you. I don't mind either way.
I don't have anything on the top of my mind, unless you had something you'd like to talk about. I mean, I can talk about so many subjects. If we had a subject I could talk to, I could talk to it.
I don't have
Um,
one in mind. I leave that up to you if we want to do the topic of discussion. If not, we can go into the last segment of the podcast and wrap it up. I don't mind either way. That's up to you. We've got 20 minutes before we hit about 2 hours.
okay,
So
yeah,
if we go over 2 hours, it's fine.
we can. It's okay. We can move through the topic. We can just skip through it, I guess.
Okay, I leave that up to you, man. I don't have a topic in mind
No
myself.
big topic of interest. Unless you want to hear me talk about final record equipment, it's okay.
Final record. That's fun. That's a good one. Are we back from the ads? Are we back? Are we here?
We're back.
Hello. We've returned again for like the fifth time. I don't know how to control the ads, guys. I'm sorry. Or maybe at least it's back for. We might not be. I don't know. Are we back? Chat. Are we back? 100 biddies. We're back. Kidding, please. Don't actually do it. was actually thinking I was gonna hear like the chime pop up like, hey, bits. um to answer your question about the alt streams, from what we've made it through so far, we're about ready to go into the Costa del Sol segment of ARR, so we're leading up to kind of preparing for Titan. We're already level 50 because the server we're on is a Road to 90 server. So it's we're blazing through our levels faster than the game.
Wow. What, like, help me understand. Road to 90 server?
So
Is this like a...
It's a server that basically you get an experience boost to help you get your character up to level 90 as quick as, or up to level 90 as quick as possible. So that way you could basically go into Dawn Trail without any worries.
Is that a private server?
No, it's in the Dynamis server.
Wow, I didn't know that existed. That's
Yep.
cool.
So whereas we play on the Ether server for obviously this on our alt, we are on the Dynamis server. Specifically Merilith, I want to say is the one. But yeah, I've noticed a lot of interesting little changes of like just this, that, and the other. Nothing like overly significant, barring the here, take these like vouchers to basically teleport back to the town where you have to go to the Waking Sands. That's the biggest one I've seen. The changes in the dungeons I've also noticed as well, because I remember like 1,000 Maws of Total Rock used to be a massive dungeon where you had to run around into all these different rooms and to collect all these little orbs and everything, and that has changed to being so linear now that it's like, oh, thank God I don't have to do this.
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember that.
Because that was just a slog to get through. So we're gonna skip over the topic discussion. Neither of us really have encourages server migration to take pressure off certain servers. I believe that is true. I agree with Vidon. We're gonna skip over the topic discussion.
I've got something. If you'll entertain me,
Go on.
it's time for what kind of story time?
By all means, I'll lean.
All right. Long ago, in the ancient, unsundered world, there existed a vast complex known as Elpis. The purpose of this facility was to observe life forms brought into existence through creation magics, and thence determine their suitability for release into the wider world. When new concepts were submitted to the Bureau of the Architect, it was standard practice that prototypes be placed in a controlled environment where specialists, researchers would conduct stringent evaluations on temperament and ecological impact. Hermes, chief overseer of this vital institution, was a man burdened by a deep-seated anguish. His mind was plagued by whispers of doubt, an unanswered question that would later set the stage of a tragedy of the final days. The people of this age believed that the betterment of the star was an inarguably benevolent act, and to contribute to this endeavor was, in fact, life's entire purpose. Consequently, this was also felt that they had fulfilled this purpose did wildly end their own existence and return to the ethereal sea. Created life forms, meanwhile, were judged on the benefit they brought to the world. A prototype failing to meet the criteria would be deemed unfit to existence, summarily rendered into formless ether, regardless of how fierce its desire for survival. The callous ease with which the ancients took life was perhaps a natural extension of how easily they could create it. Hermes, however, knew sorrow at each casual execution and grew disdainful towards his fellows who spared not a moment's thought for the potential they extinguished. He began to wonder at the meaning of it all, where the value of life truly lay. That was Makana's story time.
The story of Elvis. Good story time. I appreciate it. I had something I completely forgot what it was. No, if I remember, I'll bring it up later. Yeah. Let us move on to the final act, shall we?
Oh.
So this question was brought on by Hudon. He saw it on Reddit and posed it to me as a very interesting question, which is now part of the ending segment of the podcast and will remain as such. Obviously, keep in mind of spoilers and everything. When 14 comes to an end, or whether you decide to finally put the game down for your final time, where would your last logout location be?
Yeah, it almost like I almost want to cry at the thought. It's a good run. I like Ultimate Duel. I think that's like I mean it just feels fitting.
Right.
Uh I've always also wondered I've encountered people that have kind of just logged, they kind of got an AFK at the end of a zone, and maybe or an end of a dungeon. Maybe I would just pick my favorite dungeon and just AFK there until they shut the server down. Um, One of my favorite dungeons. I mentioned the dead ends. I mentioned Amarat and an unknown one if you haven't played Dawn Trail. But I also really liked um, Pharaoh Cirrus hard mode, and maybe I would just hang out there at the end, just as the final like, yeah, I'm staying in this instance till you cut it off.
All great choices. Like, barring obviously the one that I don't know from Dawn Trail itself, but excellent choices, honestly. Now this is where it's going to get very interesting because I'm curious. We've already discussed on who your choice is going to be. I want to know who the backup was going to be. So first, we're going to get to your nomination for the next victim. I mean, guest to the podcast.
I nominate Celia to do the next podcast. I've always enjoyed his company. When I used to enjoy a lot of the maps, and we would do Sunday events. So I like to hear what his opinions are on the game.
Celia Vasper, you have been chosen next. I will reach out to him probably tomorrow, being the fact that it is relatively late on our end. I'll have to find him in the FC chat too. Shouldn't be hard. I think he talks fairly often. Who was your second option? I'm actually curious. If Celia said no, who was the backup?
My backup was further or further falls. Um, I still remember working with them when they became Blue Mage, and there's something the Blue Mage expert now, or Feather. All right, I'm screwing up their name. Feather
Oh,
Falls.
yeah, Feather. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Celia, you have been chosen next again. I will reach out to you likely tomorrow. Closing thoughts. We'll wrap this up. Honestly, in terms of closing thoughts, this has been a very enlightening and fun podcast. I'm glad that we made this work, Makana. And that we managed to be able to get together. I mean, I understand that this is later than for further balls. Thank you, Artie. I heard that wrong. Yeah, it's okay. I heard it wrong too at first. I was like, what? I didn't want to say anything. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I understand this is later than what I normally do my streams on, which is fine. Again, I mentioned it before. It's perfectly fine if this happened later. It is perfectly fine. I work around your schedule. Uh, so I will reach out to Celia tomorrow. Um, did you have fun?
Yeah, it was great. I want to just echo. I really appreciate your flexibility. I understand that this is later than you usually do it. You're 2 hours difference than myself. Even on Friday, I'm pretty jam packed with things going on. So I appreciate that you're willing to even, meet me on PC. I'm on the PC. You typically do it on the PS4 or 5. I appreciate that you took the opportunity to do a technology you're less familiar with so that we could make it happen.
Yeah. And again, I believe I mentioned this in the beginning of it. If not, I'll do a quick recap again. With the fact that I've been doing a lot of streaming lately, we do OBS streams on Wednesdays where Hudon and I play Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. Um, we've been having a blast with that game. It's great. If you haven't played it, do so. Uh, if you want to keep yourself spoiler free, don't go watch those. They're all on, barring the latest episode that we did just the other day uh, on YouTube. By the time this comes out, it'll already be up. Um, but I'm glad you had fun. Yeah, like oh, thank you, Prim. That means a lot. Uh, these are always they are fun. Doing these podcasts are so much fun because it not only does it get a chance for everybody to get to know our members on a more personal and deeper level, but it just brings us closer. I feel it brings everybody like close knit. I've mentioned before we're a close knit family, and I further believe that this is a truth. Um, thank you again, Makana, for coming. Yeah, it was such a blast to have you. I hope that you'll be able to catch the next one when we do it. Uh, when Celia's happens, I will obviously make an announcement for it. I'll go ahead and do my shameless plugs, and then we'll wrap this up. Any further updates for anything related to my streams or anything related to just mostly my streams, but more personal aspects and everything, you can go ahead and go follow me over on Blue Sky. I am now on Blue Sky, over at thunderstar5758.bluesky. I'm no longer using Twitter for anything. It's dying quickly, and that is all I'm going to say about that. Blue Sky is where I'm at. There's a link on my Blue Sky page. I will also make sure to keep the link in my Twitch description to where you are able to go to most of my social media. That being said, all VODs, especially this one, will be on YouTube in a couple days. You can go find my YouTube channel over at Thunderstar5758. It's mainly my name for mostly everything. There are a couple people that have taken my name for things. I don't appreciate that, but I get it. I'm not the only one out there that's decided to think it was a great name. Makana, again, thank you for joining us. It has been such a blast. It's been really great to get to know you too.
Thank you very much, Sal. This has been awesome. I really appreciate you putting this together for the people of the sea.
Thanks. Everybody, that's gonna be a wrap here. We will be back again for Echoes of Wisdom is moving to Tuesdays now, starting next week. So we will be back Tuesday night with The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. I'm taking the weekend off from streaming, so I will see you everybody Tuesday. You'll likely see me in the FC chat. I might even be on 14 at some point during this weekend. Maybe not so much Sunday, but who knows? I personally don't. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been your host, Sovereign Eric. Makana, again, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Sal.
And with that, I bid you all farewell. Until we meet again. Take care.